Hi all and welcome back. So in this video we're going to look at our first exercise for practicing drawing in our ellipse using our concentric circles technique. You can see the example we're going to work with here is the logo of the Kia car brand. So we have an elliptical kind of boundary here like that, and we have simply Kia just written within this kind of grid-like shape here like so. So just looking at the object itself or the logo, we can see we have the major axis here of 140 millimeters and we have the minor axis here 70 millimeters, and that's all the information that we need when it comes to drawing in our ellipse using our concentric circles method. So we don't have to go find anything in this. We can see then that the Kia logo here is centered on that, and it's made up of 5 millimeter grids like so, and so 90 one way and 90 the other way, up 15 and down 20 then off the major axis. So with that information, we can just go and use our concentric circles method that we've seen before, and we can apply it to our sheet. Now you might fit more drawings on your sheet, so what I'd say to you is maybe for the moment you can actually just if you don't want to go with this here, it's just enough to know that, well, to keep your actual ellipse on the top of your page, it needs to be at least down 35 millimeters. So I would say go maybe 45 or 50 down from the top of the page. Just give yourself a little bit of space off the page and keep it up as high as possible. That way you can fit more drawings on the bottom of your A3 page. So we draw in our major axis there of 140, we drew in our minor axis there of 70, and I'm going to draw in my major auxiliary circle and my minor auxiliary circle. So there's the minor one drawn with the radius of half the minor axis, and there is the radius of half the major, giving us the major auxiliary circle. And then you can use your set square to draw in your 30-degree lines, or your 30-degree ordinates as they're known, or sector lines, some will call them. So there we are, our 30 degrees like that, 60 degrees like so. And looking at the orientation of the logo, there's the top and the bottom. So we have that on either side of our minor axis, and we have either side of our major axis. So we have our 2 points to the left and right. Now we already saw in the last video, the way we draw in the rest of our points is each ordinate hits the major auxiliary circle, we draw a line parallel to the minor axis. Where the ordinate hits the minor auxiliary circle, we go parallel to the major axis. And like, it's easy in this case because the major axis and the minor axis are both horizontal and vertical, so we don't have to be worried about setting up our set squares or anything like that. We can just use our t-square and our 90-degree set square. So we can draw in our vertical lines parallel to the minor axis from where it hits the major, and we do that for each of them, from each point where it hits the major auxiliary circle. Then we can draw in our line from where each ordinate hits the minor auxiliary circle parallel to the major axis. So in this case, straight across. And that will give us a number of points. You can number the points if you want, but there's probably no need really with this example. There's few enough points that you don't, it's easy to keep track of them. So there you can see, we just simply freehand in our curve here, and you want to make sure you're really, really, really paying attention to the curve. You don't just kind of tick, 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 tick along like that, little chicken scratchings. You want to try and get one nice smooth curve when you're doing that. If you find you're not great at freehand sketching, well, you can always use the likes of French curves, or you can use the likes of a flexi curve and just bend it around 3 points, and then just that'll give you a nice perfectly smooth shape to it. If you don't have actually a flexi curve, a nice little substitute for it I find is if you actually just get a piece of twin and earth cable from an electrical shop or from any DIY shop. It's probably cheaper. You literally just need a kind of a length about 300 millimeters long, and they usually give it to you for free, and it holds the curve quite nicely and gives you a nice guide when it comes to any sort of curve like that. So that's our ellipse drawn in, and all we need to do then is just fill in our Kia logo. So just keeping nice and light construction, you can draw in your grid of 5 millimeters going up 15 off the minor axis, 20 below, or sorry, the major axis, and 20 below the major axis. So just marking off 5 mil spacings, and we just set up the grid like so. And when you're setting up any sort of a grid like this, you want to make sure you set it up as light as light could possibly be. So just you're barely rubbing the actual pencil off the page. You want to keep your neatness and your accuracy as high as possible. So you're just joining in then basically the actual points on our grid to give the logo. Straightforward enough. The only thing you might have to think about here, if you haven't done drawing before, is that edge that we have here. So that edge there and this edge here, I mean, we have a parallel line there. So we've already seen how to use our parallel set squares. But if you just can't remember, you're going to set the edge of one set square to your original line like that, then set the opposite set square, along what we call the running edge here, and you just slide them along like so, and that gives us our parallel edge. And then we just do the same for the opposite side. So we set up our kind of leading edge there, and then we have a runner edge here, and we just slide it along like so. And again, things using your set squares like that, that's something that just comes with practice. I mean, you don't even think about it after a certain point. So there is our logo completed, and I mean, really, it's just a case of getting used to, I suppose, the techniques of the concentric circles approach. So, yep, that's our video. I'll make another video for the next exercise. For this particular class, there were our 3 exercises. Yeah, you can upload them then to OneNote.